Kids want to make friends, but how? Today we're going to dive into using picture books to help students understand how to make friends and maybe some ways that might not work as well. Picture books are an amazing tool to use to teach students this important social emotional skill. So I'm going to be sharing some picture book titles that I think would be awesome to use to help students with this. We're going to deep dive into the lesson that shows what you can do specifically to use these texts to help students make friends in the classroom. This is an important lifelong skill, and some students just don't know how, and that's okay. But teaching them now will help them as they get older in ways to not only make friends, but ways that might not work as well also. Before we jump into those books, if you're new here, my name is Sarah, and I'm from The Colorful Apple, and I come on here every Sunday night to share with you different ideas, read aloud tips, and books that you can use in your classroom right away. We are in the middle of a new series all about unlocking the power of picture books, how we can use picture books across the curriculum. We'll be talking about how to use them in writing, science, social studies, reading, which we already do anyway, and today we have a social emotional lesson to go over. Why should we be using picture books to be teaching students how to make friends? What are some of those benefits? So picture books are really engaging for young students or students of any age, honestly. But by using picture books, students are drawn into the story, they get to know the characters, and then they can relate to those characters. They can see these characters going through these situations, so that way when they are in the situation, they can refer back to that in their minds. They can think about how one character dealt with a problem or approached a situation and how they can apply that to their own lives. And it gives them some comfort knowing that somebody else went through it, even if it's a fictional character, that they're not the only ones. They're not alone in this. So picture books have this powerful tool that you can use, especially for social emotional learning. They also provide amazing visual elements that help students take abstract concepts such as kindness or empathy and provide concrete examples that they can hold on to. By sometimes seeing what's happening on the inside, what's happening in our minds and our hearts, and putting it onto the page helps them understand that concept better. And picture books are an amazing discussion starter. So whatever skill you're teaching, you can use that to ask questions, to prompt students to ask their own questions, to share their own thoughts, feelings, or experiences with either you or with their classmate. By using these discussions to talk about friendship, students are internalizing this skill of making friends and understanding how it works. Because again, if they don't know how, or they're not quite sure, or they don't have all the tools necessary, by using these picture books and creating discussions and talking about it with them is going to help them so much in the long run. Now, let's talk about some different books that you can use to teach students how to make friends. The first one that I have is Words to Make a Friend. And this story is told in both Japanese and English. In this story, two girls meet in the wintry snow. And they start playing together, trading words in their respective languages. So in the book, it shows both of their languages and which ones they're speaking. Throughout the story, they're building that bridge of friendship together while creating some special creatures in the snow as they go along. And this one is a sweet example of how friendship can cross those language barriers, that by playing together and working together, it's okay if there are differences, and that you can still make friends with someone you might not have a lot in common with, and that you can learn so much from somebody else just by spending time with them. Words to Make a Friend would make a great book to teach students about making friends in the classroom. Now, a book that shows how maybe not to make friends in the classroom, this one is We Don't Eat Our Classmates by Ryan Higgins. And in this story, Penelope Rex is a dinosaur, and she starts school for the very first time, but all of her classmates are children, and children are delicious. Penelope Rex wants to eat all of the kids, and she tries to, but the teacher makes her spit them out. But she starts to notice that no one wants to sit next to her on the rug. No one wants to play with her at recess. No one wants to sit in the lunchroom with her. And so it's showing that when she's starting to realize that, and then one day, Penelope notices the class goldfish, and the class goldfish bites her, and Penelope does not like that. And she's realizing that maybe the way she's been treating the kids in her class, they don't like either, and that's why they're not spending time with her. She's realizing that she needs to treat them with kindness and treat them the way that they want to be treated in order to be able to play with them. A powerful lesson for students about treating others with kindness and how we should be treating them the way they want to be treated, and that we need to be nice to our friends or nice to people if we want them to be friends with us. A silly story, but a powerful message for students that will prompt some discussion with your class. Another funny book that I have is You Will Be My Friend. And again, showing ways how not to be a friend. Because I think it's important that we show students not only examples, but non-examples as well. What we should be doing, what we shouldn't, or what's going to work and what's not going to work. Lucy is the bear, and she is very enthusiastic about making friends, almost to the point where she's demanding, "You will be my friend." Turns out the other animals don't like that so much. And she realizes this might not be the best way to make friends. So again, going to start conversations with your class, even though it's really silly, another powerful message about treating others kindly and in order to make friends. The next book that I have is called Ways to Make Friends. This is a sweet and funny story that has some helpful and some slightly quirky advice for making friends with others. This book's gentle message is about showing kindness to others with some fun twists along the way. It talks about how it's not easy to make friends and not everybody has friends. So it gives that fun advice and talks about not only being friends with others, but loving yourself and being friends with yourself too in order to make friends. Another go-to one when talking about making friends in the classroom. And if you have some animal lovers in your classroom, Good Rosie by Kate DiCamillo would be a great one for this topic. It's a story about a lonely dog whose owner is a little worried about her, so she decides to take her to the dog park. At first, when Rosie gets there, she's a little overwhelmed. Some of the dogs are kind of big and scary. Some have a lot of energy, but it takes a little bit of getting used to and compromise, and the dogs eventually become great friends. So I like the realistic portrayal about how it can be tricky to make new friends and might take a little bit of figuring it out, but it works out in the end. And sometimes using characters that are animals instead of people can be helpful for students. It helps them connect on a different level. Like they see that maybe animals go through this too and that it's okay. But it is a sweet story and another great one for talking about making friends in the classroom. But my favorite one that I have is The Someone New by Jill Twiss. And we're going to dive a little deeper into this one and how you can use this one in your classroom for teaching a lesson about making friends. And The Someone New is really a great book with an important message about open-heartedness, including others, kindness, and making enough room for everybody. So in this book, Jitterbug the Chipmunk likes everything to be the same. But then she notices that something in the forest is a little bit different, and at first she can't quite put her finger on it. She finds a new snail named Pudding who's trying to make his home in her forest. And Jitterbug says, "You can't stay. This is our place. You can't be here." And Pudding slowly, like a snail, leaves. But then Jitterbug's friends point out that they were new once too, and that even though new can be scary, kindness is always better. So Jitterbug races off to find Pudding and welcomes her to the forest and becomes a friend with someone new. So you can use this book as a read aloud in your classroom and have an interactive read aloud lesson. You can create an anchor chart with your students, coming up with ways to make a new friend. How can they make a new friend? Can they say hi? Invite them to play? what are some ideas that they come up with? You can create this interactive, engaging anchor chart that they all have a part of, and you can keep it hanging in your classroom so that they can see it at all times, refer back to it when they need it. Then as you're reading the book, you can ask engaging, open-ended questions throughout the book. What do you think Jitterbug should do? How do you think Pudding felt? And that really brings the book to life for students and helps them think through not only how Jitterbug feels, but how Pudding feels. How did she feel when she was sent away from the forest? How did she feel when she was invited back? These things are great prompts for students and get them thinking about how important it is to include others and make friends with others. And this can be something great at the beginning, using this at the beginning of the year, because then you can do an activity sheet with them and they can interview someone that they might not know in the class or someone they don't know as well, and pair them up and they interview their friend and get to know that other person better. They interview this new person, new to them person, I should say, and get to know them. What do they like to do? What do they like to eat? What are their favorite things? And maybe your students will find some commonalities between themselves and this other student in the class that they might not know as well. Or you can have students play a fun game, a new friend scavenger hunt. They can fill out this sheet with their own favorite food, eye color, favorite activity, favorite toy, and then they'll go around the room and find classmates that connect with them as well. Find someone who has the same favorite color as you. Find someone who plays the same sport as you. Find someone who has the same type of pets that you do. And that can get them started, get those conversations going. Especially for quieter students, it opens up that door for them. It gives them the prompt for getting to know somebody else. And then I also love to use task cards, especially talking about social emotional skills. You can use these independently, or you can use them to create a small group discussion. But students, through these task cards, will come up with ways to make a new friend, places where they can meet a new friend, what they can say to someone to make that new friendship. This role play or talking these steps through will help students be prepared when they come to a situation where they are able to make a new friend. Gives them those own tools that they can use when they need them and set the stage for them in making new friends. But using picture books as an interactive read aloud are a great way to get this social emotional skill going for students and help them get those tools that they need to build friendships, whether they have some friends or not. It can help them reach out to others who might not have friends. It can help them reach out when they don't have a friend. But by using the picture books, using the interactive read aloud lesson, it will jumpstart that skill for them and that learning and being able to feel confident to try it on their own. And so these lessons, these books, not only give them practice with this skill, it also creates a positive and inclusive classroom culture. So by selecting the right books and using these lessons, we can really help students not only make friends now, but be able to have this skill for their whole lives. And all of these books that I mentioned, as well as the resources, will be included in the description box down below so that you can grab them and use them in your classroom. I hope this was helpful for you. Please let me know if this is something that you teach in your classroom or what books you have used that your students have loved. Leave a comment down below. If this video was helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, because I'm going to be coming back with a lot more videos about how to use picture books to teach different subject areas in the classroom. Have a great week.